the chaos. Wicked witches. Trusting the unknown.
Welcome to the Nonsense in the Chaos. I'm your host, Jolie Rose. I'm really excited about today's podcast. I'm interviewing the absolutely bloody lovely Jimmy Martin. He's a beautiful soul, and I've only known him. I wouldn't say I know him that well. I feel like I know him a lot better after recording this podcast. But I have known him, everyone knows him on the island. He's a local Sark chap. He's not from Sark, as you will hear, but he's very much part of the community here. Everyone knows him. Absolutely everyone knows Jimmy. And it's because he does so much. He gives so much. And that's something that is very prevalent here on Sark. And what I think is very key for community is about giving. There is an element of having to have boundaries because you can just give, and there will never be an end to the taking. You need to have an element of self-control or know what you're capable of. But it is just a joy to be part of such an amazing, loving, even if we fall out and argue with each other like a big dysfunctional family, but there is this amazing family that we're all part of, and it's really special, and it's what I think is the key for resilience for the future for all of us. I think that community is key. I think there's something poetic, ironic, apt about humans being the problem but also being the solution. It's a bit like the venom and anti-venom doing a small dose of the venom. There's something about humans causing all the problems that we've caused in the world, but the thing that is the answer is community and looking after each other and taking care of each other and caring about being stewards of the land and caring about our surroundings and making sure that we're all having a lovely life. You know, that I think's the key thing. And it's why I'm here, and it's why I was drawn to this beautiful island and to the people who live here, and I love them. And Jimmy is a key character, linchpin, support giver within that mix. He's a beautiful person, and I loved doing this podcast with him. I fell in love with him, and yeah, I'm listening back and editing it. I was just like, oh, he's such a beautiful person. and I knew he was already, but it was sort of from afar. Whereas now I'm like, no, yeah, I love that boy. He's a beautiful being, and I'm so privileged to share him with you, and for you to get an insight into the life and experience and reality of someone who lives here on Sark. And I'd like to interview more people from Sark because everyone's got an interesting story to tell as to how they ended up here and or are from here, and they've got interesting stories to tell as well. So I'm going to be peppering interviews with people from the island as we go along, and this is the first, which is really exciting. So without further ado, I'm going to introduce you to the awesome Jimmy Martin. Welcome to the Nonsense and the Chaos. I'm interviewing my friend today, James Martin, or Jimmy, as we all know him. And Jimbo, or Jimmy, is a bit of a local hero here on Sark. Everybody knows who he is. He used to do all our karting, and he works so hard with the medical and emergency services, and is also now in our government in Chief Police. And we're looking at the moment to create a radio station. And so we thought we'd have a little play and experiment with getting Jim on the podcast. But also, it's the first time I've interviewed anyone from Sark. So I've been chatting away about what Sark means to me and what I feel about it. But it'd be great to hear about how you came to be here and also where you're from originally, because you're Scottish, as people will hear in a moment. So first of all, welcome, Jimmy.
Well, thank you.
So whereabouts Okay, where are you from, first of all? Tell me
Okay.
about where you're
I
from.
was born and raised in a little village in Scotland called Armadale, which is in West Lothian, more or less in between Glasgow and Edinburgh. Small little farming village. Well, it was small anyway. The last time we went home, just last year, it's kind of expanded. We're almost like in Glasgow and in Edinburgh at the same time.
Oh, wow.
You know, we're 12 miles 12 miles along the motorway, and you're in Glasgow, and then 12 miles the opposite way, you're in Edinburgh.
Wow. That's
And
pretty
then
much like the perfect spot.
it is, you know, and then 12 miles the other way, you end up in Stirling, you know, so
Yeah.
we're pretty central to everything with that 12 miles, eh?
Hey, that's
It's,
cool.
yeah, it's a lovely little place, but, you know, Sark's kind of overtaken with my heart, so it's Sark, not Scotland anymore, eh?
And
Yeah.
when did you move to Sark? How old were you?
I don't know how old I was, but I remember getting here in the year 2000.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, we can do some adding up and taking away to get an age, but yeah. Yeah, so yeah, basically,
Young lad, though, yeah.
yeah, you caught me off with that one. So yeah, arrived here in the year 2000. So, you know, been here now 25 years.
Wow.
And I wouldn't consider at all ever moving back to Scotland. You know, I think Sark is now my home, and that's where I will probably end my days in time. You know,
Yeah.
it's
What brought you here in the first place? What was it that?
it was a funny old thing. I went into the job centre. I was in between jobs, done a wee bit in the army because I got medically defected from there. Some ear injury kind of thing. So I needed a job and went in, and there was a little in the job centre, and there was like a vacancy for Sark. I'd never heard of Sark before. I'd heard of the Channel Islands, but Sark, no. So I thought, I'm going to apply for it. And it was for it to be a barman at Stocks Hotel.
What? You started
Yeah,
there?
yeah, it was another one of them great lucky people that managed to make a career out of stocks. You know, you know, everybody that gets employed in stocks either kind of stays or evolves into something good here, eh?
Stocks Hotel, for anyone who's not from the island, is like one of our really fancy hotels, and it's been around for a long time, and it brings the seasonal workers over. And so every year we have an influx of new people who come to the island, and every year there's always some people who fall in love with the place and don't leave, which is always lovely. And so you
Yeah.
were one of them.
One of them, yep. I have many good fond memories of stocks. Some that I couldn't tell you on the radio because it wouldn't be.
It seems like that's the way with everyone who works there. There's always a really good story.
Well, you know, it's like whenever you're young, because I was in my 30s, kind of thing, so I was still young. And, you know, it's like the Sark kind of grabs you, and it's the people that grab me, you know. I never lived by the sea before we knew it. Was making friends, and they had boats, and like, come on, we'll go out in the sea, kind of thing, for a day. Then there's other sides of the island where it's like the party scene in the evening. That was very hard work to keep up with. It was, but I managed, and now completely kind of came clean off the party scene and kind of enjoying life, doing slowly things that I like to do now.
Yeah.
So
that's what's nice about Sark, because it does have both of those sides to it. Like, people are often surprised that I've moved here from Brighton, because obviously Brighton was a real party city, and then to move here, everyone's like, God, it must be really quiet. And I'm like, no,
it's the opposite.
The death of me. This place is such a party place.
Yeah.
It also has the beauty and the calmness, and there's so much to do when you're not drinking. Like, I'm not drinking at the moment, and I'm just as busy as when I am. So
this is it, and we're absolutely covered in beautiful scenery and play. You know, you fishing. You go walks around the cliff pass, take your dog out. It's endless what you can do. You know.
Yeah, absolutely.
Fly your kite in the field, even.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, so I've done that many.
It's coming up with your own entertainment, because I think we've got so used to everything being done for us. Like, in normal, what I say normal in the UK, I don't think it does seem normal. Now I live here, the UK doesn't seem normal. This feels more real, in that you go fly a kite, or you go for a walk, or you do something that's what we used to do before we had all the digital world that we now are used to. Whereas, like, yeah, I think if you're living in the UK, it's very easy for it to all be scrolling on your phone or downloading a video, or it's all
Jump in a car and off you go wherever
yeah,
you want,
exactly.
McDonald's in China, just all them wee things. But, it's like staying Sark. It's great. You end up learning how to bake cakes and cook your own Sunday lunches.
Yes,
You,
yeah,
and to entertain your friends by saying, come to my house and, we'll do a cook-up kind of thing, cook-up
yeah,
Sunday.
yeah,
It's the most enjoyable. And I've burnt a few also.
yeah. It takes
Yeah.
a bit of practice. And you tell us about some of the careers that you've had, because you're one of those people that turns their hand to everything, and that's kind of what you have to do on Sark, because you have to be a bit of a Swiss Army knife in order to get by. You need to sort of do everything, don't you?
Do everything, yeah. And I've done quite a lot of different jobs. When from the army, went in there just to become, like a regular soldier, and my career kind of got ended pretty quickly for us. So it was quite disappointing because I actually enjoyed that. So after that, we decided, well, it came into a situation right starting in Sark. So started off in the restaurant trade, went down to Stocks, got a job as a barman, and then kind of realised that I actually could be quite a good waiter also. I would say we had the gift of the gab, really. And I kind of got on quite well with Paul, who obviously was the owner at the time, and his mother, Muriel, who's an absolutely beautiful lady. She really was. She got, yeah, she always liked me. She would always say, Jim, do you have any shirts and I can iron them for you? She wouldn't iron anybody else's. She would also always iron my shirts. And I was like, yeah, that's the one. Yeah. So, I started doing a bit of catering. Then after a while, couple of years, about a year after doing stocks, I stayed for the summer, done the summer season, then decided, well, I want to stay for the winter. Went and had a chat with Paul. He said, that's fine. So we've done the winter season, which is much quieter, but still enjoyable, because we still learn a lot. But during that downtime, I had the pleasure of meeting and working alongside George Gill. Because George went that he used to, well, he'd go down there as a part-time job and spend X amount of hours chatting to people other than working. But we used to play this game with Mrs. Armitage. It's like, George, we go, how long do you reckon I could keep the old girl talking then, Jim? Like that, 20 minutes, George. He said, well, you go first and see how you go. So I maybe get 10 minutes. There's George an hour afterwards, yeah. Just waiting, and I was like, yeah, okay, then you crafty old. But he kind of played that well. And through working and staying, met so many different people. Like met the family, the Miguels, and that was the first interaction we had with them. So, and I didn't know at the time that later on in life that these people would actually be who I was serving and helping, and involving doing a business. Right. So it was very strange.
Yeah.
But after the catering kind of thing, I decided, well, I didn't really like doing this split shifts anymore. So I thought, I could become a builder, eh? So I went and approached her man, Jess Hester, and Jess, I think very reluctantly took me on, but he took me on anyway and gave us a job. And I'm thankful that he did. But it ended in tears, as it normally does whenever it comes to building and things like that. I wasn't the best, but,
Your house fall down.
I don't know if I should tell you this story, but I will.
Go on, please do.
So Jess was building his big house on the cliff, as everybody knows. You can see it, beautiful big oak house, everything there. And then one Saturday morning, he says, Jim, so I was there helping him, like putting some flooring down. He's got underfloor heating and everything in there, being a big house that it's going to be. And he says, I've got to go up to the shop, so can I leave you just to put these screws in through there? Absolutely, no problem. Yes, you can do what you like. I've got this kind of thing. And off we went. And whenever he came back, well, that was the end of that. I thought where the screws were supposed to go wasn't where they were supposed to go, and yeah, I punctured the lot.
Oh no!
Yeah, so all this underfloor heating that he had spent hours getting people doing and everything. Along come Jim, and that was that. So yeah, I kind of bollocked me that day. Excuse my
Yeah, I'm sure you did.
yeah. And but he kept me on. I don't know how or why. He must have really have seen something, or he felt sorry for shouting at me. But it was one of them, eh? And at the same time, though, I don't know if you remember Luke Carey.
Yeah.
Luke he was doing some roof work for this house,
Mhm.
and there was guys over in the other field shooting, doing the old pheasant shoot. So they're shooting the pheasant. The pellets are coming over and hitting the mixer that Luke was filling up to make his stuff for the roof. So he comes running in the middle of Jess bollocking me, and there's like Jess is shooting me out there. So he had to go running out and sort them out. And I think that's what saved my job.
Oh wow!
Whenever he came back, he says, "Right, pack up, we're going to the pub." Yeah. But I'll not forget it because it is one of them. Oops, did I do that? Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah. Yeah, it wasn't the best builder, but I did enjoy it, and I did try and make a career out. He did let us loose with hammers and chisels because I said, I'd like to become a carpenter. I'm one of them people that I can do that. Yep. Yeah. Somebody says, "Oh, we need like a DJ." I'd be, yeah, I can do that.
Yeah, I'll make that.
And then deal with the chaos of it later, but I've got just now, but we're getting there. And yeah, so it's various different jobs, but after the building working thing, I realised, well, I'm not cut out to be a builder either. Then I was fortunate enough to meet a partner, Nicola, at the time. Sadly, she's gone now. But Nicola had suggested at the time Ross Henry's carting business, which is, carting is like delivering all the stuff that comes off the cargo, collecting people's suitcases. Nicola suggested, well, why don't you, I will help and we'll kind of set up a business doing the carting. And yeah, done that. And another one of them, yeah, I can do that jobbies. But I'd done it for 13 years. And I really did enjoy it. Sadly, my health got the better is at the end. Because you got to be quite fit, and it's a young man's game, especially working them steps, So
just to explain to the listeners, so because we don't have cars on the island, we have carters who are people with tractors that are able to pick up everyone's suitcases and bags from the harbour, which if the boat is coming in when the tide's low, that's actually quite a lot of steps to carry all the bags up. And then you put them on the tractor in the trailers and then they get delivered to your hotel, which just freaks everyone out because it's the only place in the world where you're asked to leave your luggage with strangers and trust for them to just turn up at your house. And yeah, I mean, all of us, we couldn't live without the carters. Like every time I go on holiday, I forget that I need to book to get my suitcase collected, and I get close to the next day and I'm like, oh my God, I can't put this on my bike. So yeah, the carters like basically keep the whole island going, but it is definitely heavy work, isn't it?
It's heavy work. And you're out in all sorts of weather, come rain or shine, the people are coming and they want their bags and everything. But there was also some fun times with it, quite a lot of fun times with it. One incident that we'll never forget. We had somebody, there was people living here for the week, I think it was. Oh no, this was it. It was a builder. He had been working, he was working here. And his contract came to an end. So he said, right, Jim, can you collect our bags and take them down and put them on the boat as you do? Absolutely no problem. So we done our thing, just a job. And at 7 o'clock at night came out, I got this totally random phone call. All right, Jim. I said, yeah. I said, well, can you explain something to me? I was like, what's that? He says, how come I can see my bags floating at the harbour Wally Guernsey? And I said, what? He said, I'm on the Condor, he says, and I'm heading off to England. And as we're coming out, I can see my suitcases going up against, splashing up against the wall. Basically, whenever they got sent over, nobody picked them up for the steps at the Sark shipping end in Guernsey. So when the tide came up, taking these bags away, and you're like, you couldn't make that story up. You could not do it. I can see my bags, mate. I'm on the way to England and they're floating past me. It's that is one of the more memorable ones, eh? And then but we've done for the festivals, whenever we had the folk festivals come in. So we're pretty intense, and you've got it's quite a responsibility. I
Yeah.
certainly it kind of woke me up a wee bit from being that immature little Jim partying on and playing hard. I couldn't do it after a while. I had to kind of buckle down because the responsibility was more than what was needed. Eh?
Well, that's what's interesting, isn't it? Because I feel like Sark, the main thing that I feel about Sark is that the community is all encompassing and not like anything I've ever experienced anywhere else before. And I've got a real I hold a torch for community because I think it's the thing that is the most resilient in the future with all the madness that's going on in the world. I
Yeah.
think the thing that will protect anyone in whatever is going to come, and we have no idea what's going to come, but there are many threats on the horizon.
Many threats upon us at the moment.
Yeah, and I just think community is so key, and I feel like we have the richest community I've ever known of here. And I'm sure that they're on other small islands as well, but it's just so contained, and it's just the right number for us to fully not know everybody, because we definitely don't know everybody, but enough for us to know most people and for us to be able to look after each other and take care of each other. It feels like it's sort of just the right amount of people.
Yeah.
And we have so many incredible, everyone's doing something. Like you're involved in the medical side of things. Do you want to talk a bit about that?
Well, so to begin with, I started, this was probably after being 2, 3 years on the island. I thought, well, I've got it, I want to do something. And I always thought, because I seen they were advertising for the fire service at the time, I always thought, that's the kind of thing I could do. Great. There's too many stories in that one, but yeah. and so I kind of thought, right, I'm going to go and apply for it. And I by luck, because it's quite a tight process to get into the fire service. But they managed, and they said, right, okay then, Jim, you've kind of got the vacancy. And this is me coming up to my 20-year service in November. So I've got another 3 months, and then I'll get a nice little medal, and I'll be hanging my boots up then, I think. You let the youngsters in and go. But it was something that I felt I've got to give the community something. Everybody else seems to be working so hard and doing it, in Sark, you'll notice yourself that you don't wear just one hat. You have to wear about 5 different hats during the course of the day,
Yeah.
It's we all have different jobs, and you go from one into the other, and you change from being there, eh? And, so between doing the fire service, the CFRs got born. Now that's community first responders for the listeners, and it was I would say it was a brainchild of Mandy, the Cartwright, who used to live and work here. And they thought our first responder role could actually help Sark so well. So there was about 7 years at the beginning, and we're now into our 5th year. We're celebrating almost in September, November time, and that's the responder's been going for 5 years. And it means that we get a call out, we go and first respond. We're up to level 3 with our training at the moment, so we're getting trained pretty well. Guernsey come over, Manouche from St John's. We do various other courses. Holly, our practicing nurse here, she does our training nights for us, which is once a month. And she's absolutely fantastic. The wee lassie deserves a medal herself, just for what she does. She really does. She puts her heart into everything, eh?
Yeah, she really does.
Yeah, and we all appreciate her, because she's doing this on her own time. But we've all got this, like, we all care for the community, and we can give our best every time, And the least we can do for her is, because she's given us that, is we go and we data training and we take it all on board and try and better ourselves, and lighten the load for the doctor here. So, it's got 2 or 3 different ways about it. People have got their different views in it because we're not doctors. We're just like you. People say, "Oh, you're a glorified first aider." It's not like that, though. You're not really, because you're there to preserve life. We can all end up rocking up to somebody with an elastopass or a bit of glue, put that in your finger for now, son, But there is a more kind of serious side to it, where, if you can preserve somebody's life. And we actually had a wee girl that started with us, young Amy. She, Amy Perry, that is. She started with us a couple of years ago, 2 years now. She was very, 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 wasn't always sure. She didn't have too much confidence at the beginning. Like everybody, your confidence is where you hold back. But there was an incident, and I think I can say this on the radio. There was a lady down Little Sark, and she needed CPR. And just by the heli lights, whatever, young Amy was passing, and she jumped straight into what she was doing. It just all the fear, I can't do that, or maybe that, and she saved that lady's life. And Guernsey recognised that, and they gave her an award, which was even better. One for the girls.
It is incredible. It feels like you're so pushed in directions you'd never have dreamed of.
Oh, no.
Yeah, you wouldn't. I mean, you just wouldn't expect that because I totally think of you guys as ambulance service. You're there quicker than a UK ambulance.
Yeah, well, easy. And we don't hear the traffic. We don't hear bustling people and all sorts of things. Okay, we jump on our bikes, or we can get there by tractor, and then we work alongside St John's in Guernsey. They help us with the Flying Christine, which is an ambulance boat that they send over to take patients back and forth, kind of thing, And in the downtime, normally about an hour, and you'll be in hospital in Guernsey from that phone call. You can't even see a doctor in the UK for 8 hours, so so we're pretty good. We're pretty good.
Yeah,
we're spoiled, though. We are spoiled. That's the only downside. Yeah.
It's amazing work, and like the first time I worked with you was through you supporting with the Beltane Festival and doing the marquees, and it just, all of us put on so many different hats, and then we're in the government together now as well. How are you finding that? We won't talk about it too much because we probably can't talk about it, but
the government, yes. I'll put my hands up. I was always one of them people that would be either in the pub standing or out in the street chatting and said, "Oh, them bloody politics, they do nothing for our island." It's like they're all lazy up in the office. I'm first to put my hands up and take over every word of that back, because they work so hard, Julie. It is absolute, and it's a thankless task some of the times, a lot of the times, but they work so hard to try and better the island for everybody, not just for themselves, because we are a community, and that's what we try and do,
Yeah, it's crazy the amount of work that goes into
the emails. Yes, there's a lot of good email warriors and very quick in there, and that's fine. Let them carry on. If they can answer it, that saves me answering it. I can think about something else then, But it is interesting. It's certainly not what I thought Cheap Please was.
Yeah,
it was a culture shock for me. Let's put it that way. I thought, well, this is it. You just go in and you just talk. No. You got to learn this. You got to learn that, laws, legislations, and I'm like, yeah, okay, here we go. And that was me in my big mouth. I can do that.
Yeah. Well, this is it.
But I'm doing it.
You are doing it.
I am actually doing it, and I've done a couple of little things that I was like, oh, I done that. So I'm quite pleased. I am quite pleased.
It's been the most, like, I feel like I've done a massive course. Like I feel like I've been stretched way further than I'd been stretched since going to university or something like that, just because the amount that you have to get your head round. And then this is real people's lives. Like, we're having huge impacts.
You see everybody, even if you're at war with this person, you're like on the old keyboard, you still got to be, hello, how you doing?
Yeah.
Because that's where the community comes in. and doesn't matter who you fall out with, you always kind of, yeah, and we always respect at the end of the day. You will say hello to somebody. You wouldn't even thing with him, you know.
Yeah, we've got to shop together and eat together and
Yeah, that's it. Throttle each other outside whenever it's done, though, yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, there's one thing we've never had in Sark for a wee while. There's been a murder.
Oh, no matter.
I'd love to join the theatre group just to get that one line in. There's been a murder, eh?
That's brilliant. I love it.
I might speak to Gavin about that. But yeah, but no, and Sark, I would recommend it to any youngsters that really would like to come and see what Sark's about. And I would bet that 99.9 of them would also come back and end up trying to live here. Eh?
Yeah.
It's a fantastic little place.
Yeah, you either love it or you don't. If you don't, you do pretty quick. But if you do, you love it.
In the karting, when I was karting, I did see the quickest turnaround.
Yeah.
They came off the boat, they walked to the top, they looked over the wall, and off they went back with all their suitcases. They came for a job at one of the hotels, eh? Nah, I'm not liking this, and off they went again.
Well, that was hilarious.
Yeah, you know, it's like 2 seconds, like, okay. Just going back quickly to actually when I arrived in Sark, another irony thing was like I came off that on the sailing across, and I remember it so clearly. And I go, oh, this is like beautiful coming in, you know, from the knee down and you tie up. And I got these suitcases and I thought, okay, well, this is it. I've got to go to stocks. I didn't know that there was a tractor taking them up the hill and taking them to the hotel for you. So I slogged all the way up the hill with these 2 massive big suitcases, my worldly belongings. And then to realise 13 years later that I'd actually be doing that myself. But I do remember it's been the most beautiful thing. I said, I am going to enjoy this here. And I knew that straight away within coming through that tunnel.
Yeah. It's stunning. As soon as I saw the lighthouse, I remember thinking how it looked like Game of Thrones, and I was just like, there'd be dragons here. Look at this place.
Yeah. Oh, well, if you want to talk about Games of Thrones, well, I better not, eh?
Well, you know what I am going to do, talking about Game of Thrones, is I'm going to pull 3 runes, and the runes are for us to just talk about a thing that is letting fate just choose what we're talking about. And I normally do tarot cards, but because you have rune tattoos, I thought we should do that. So have you ever had a rune pulled for you before?
No, I normally just pull my own ones and say, oh, that sounds good today, that'll do.
So you pull your own runes?
I do, yeah. I said, you've got the little mat and that, and I actually looked them on and thought, right, okay, so I pull that one, and that's how I go out the door. Look, cool. This is me today, and I can't go by the rune.
Oh, that's wonderful. I do that. That's a really cool thing.
And it's funny you should do that. There's a few people, like, I didn't realise that Cara was into it, and them, so there's a few hidden people here that are actually, they believe in the old ways.
Yes, in the old ways, exactly.
In the old ways, yeah.
What does your tattoo say, if you don't mind me asking? You don't have to tell me, but what's your tattoo?
One of them is for everyone that wanders is not lost. That's that one there, Kenny. Fine. Yeah. These were just all different runes. Now they're not your standard runes. They're all different runes. So I went back to as far as I could find as much with the Pictish, being Scottish, and I tried to pull bits and whatever. So whenever I got that done, it wasn't supposed to go all over like that, but I don't know how it ended up, and we just ended up putting them all across like that. So they were supposed to be a bit more uniform, but probably too much talking actually, and then but it was too late. So they are totally random. So you could just close your eyes. That's how I am today, Jim. Look
you're a fan. I love that. You do a reading with your own arm. I love it. Yeah. Okay, I'm going to put my hand in. I'm going to find a rune, and it's not a reading. It's just something for us to chat.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, this is actually one of my favourite runes. So Thuraz, or the thorn.
Thorn, yeah.
Yeah. What does that mean to you? Because I have meanings for these runes, but what does it mean to you, that one?
To me, I wouldn't know too much.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
Ne-
it means like a shamanic journey. And what I always think of it a bit like the thorn on a rose. So you're going to get a rose, so it's worth it. It's basically almost the best prize you can get, but
Yeah,
it's not going to be easy. And it's Thor's rune, the god of thunder. So you're
it
expecting
is.
storms and hardship, but it's well worth it because you're going to get a rose
Yeah.
at the end of it.
When you said that, my actual thoughts are, well, thorn is going to be thorny, which means there's got to be something that's going to be either prickly or dangerous. It could be a dangerous road you're going down. That was my thoughts, but
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
wasn't too sure where we went with it, though.
What's been the kind of hardest journey you've had, but was the most rewarding?
Hardest journey, but most rewarding. That's an easy one, that. Being a father.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it wasn't hard. It was hard actually because I've never been one, but I quite honestly was quite immature. It's always one of the lads doing the pub and that kind of thing, and it made me have to kind of look at myself more and make choices. Actually,
Yeah.
what I needed to do to actually be that good father that I know I am.
Yeah.
And it was a tough journey, but
Yeah.
it was a lovable journey. So I don't know if
What a beautiful boy to show for it. And
yeah, well, thank you. Yeah, and it's like we had our ups and downs, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Flynn and I, but I don't think Flynn and I's ever had an argument. You know that.
Oh,
And that to me is just like I've always said that my parents, they were fine. They were great parents. They're hard working. They've done everything for us. They made it. And I always said I wouldn't treat my son like their way, because obviously they've came from Victorian parents,
yeah.
and you kind of think, right, well, I'm going to try something different here,
Mm.
and and it's worked so far. Fingers
He's a good
crossed.
lad.
Really. I hope we've not just jinxed it, eh?
No,
But,
you've done an amazing job. Everyone loves Flynn. Well done.
yeah, it's good. I'm glad. Well, I'm pleased to hear that. Eh?
Yeah, he's a good boy. If you enjoy this podcast, then please consider supporting me on Patreon, which is patreon.com/Jolly Rose. I love doing this podcast. I love making this work, and hopefully one day it might become my full-time job. This is the only way that I can think of to create a revenue and develop and build an audience as an artist living on a remote island in the middle of nowhere. And I think it's working. I'm glad you're here and I'm glad you're listening. And yeah, it's growing. I'm getting more and more support, and that is wonderful. And so if you're not able to afford to support me with a monthly subscription to the Patreon, then that's no problem at all. You can just listen for free and you can just be here and enjoy the podcast for free. And I also do the moon ceremonies for free every 2 weeks. And I also put out articles in the Guernsey Press every 2 weeks for free. And I do moon and tarot readings on YouTube every 2 weeks for free. And so all of these things are available for you, and you're welcome to enjoy them for free. And that is no problem whatsoever. And I want everyone to be able to access the work that I do. But if you do have the funds available to be able to support me, and you appreciate what I do, and you're here every week and you're able to afford it, then £3 a month is the lower tier, which basically gets you access to all the free things that are available. And it's your way of just saying thank you. It's like the equivalent of buying me a piece of cake or something to say thanks. I mean, cakes and cups of tea and stuff are more money than that nowadays, which is crazy. So it's less than a cup of tea. It's less than you buying me a coffee or a cup of tea to say thank you each month. But if you can afford the higher tier, that's £9 a month. That's the equivalent of buying me a pint and a half. And that gives you access to the videos of the podcasts. And, like I say, if you can't afford it, it's no problem whatsoever. Someone who can afford it is paying for you to get a free podcast. And it's a beautiful sharing cycle of giving and taking care of each other and saying thank you and gratitude, which is just wonderful. So if you're happy to do that and are able to do that, then that's over at patreon.com/Jodie Rose. And otherwise, just enjoy, and that is all available for you for free. Please tell people about it. If you enjoy it, then make sure you spread the word, share about it on social media. Just say, oh, I really enjoyed that. Tell me. It's always nice to hear. Word of mouth is key, so that's something you can do for free. But yeah, thank you for being here. I really appreciate you listening. Huge love. And now on with the show. Right, I'll pull another one for you. So this one is the torch. So it's Ken. And this is like shining a torch into the darkness. So is there, like, what's been the most interesting thing that you've kind of learned and has been
like looking into something, or
looking into the darkness? I always think of it a bit like Indiana Jones going down a tunnel.
Yeah, I do play with the. Well, I don't play with it. There is no God kind of thing, and the afterlife. Actually, this I can't stop reading or watching programs and things like that. Romans old history.
Yeah,
but that's looking backwards at the past, eh?
Yeah.
So looking into the dark torch is always asking what is next for us. Where does our journey go after humans? That's how I would kind of
totally.
my name too. Yeah.
And what do you believe in? You believe in the other days? What does that mean to you?
I just believe that this is hell. We're in hell at the moment. And we've got something next to come to. We're only vessels carrying around our souls at the moment.
Yeah.
And I do believe that there is an afterlife, that's for sure.
Yeah.
It might not be the afterlife that we think there is or whatever, but I do believe that we go somewhere and we do evolve, reincarnate something along the line.
Yeah. I love it. I really enjoy thinking about all that stuff and talking about it. It's one of my favourite things. And I've got no idea, but I could talk about it all day long.
I don't talk to many people about the things that I think about because I'm scared in case you lock me up, Julie. It's like,
I think we'd lock you up anyway for many other things.
Well, there's that Maddie coming along again. But it's no that horrible thoughts. It's just like, I'm keen for it. Once I was told that, I had the quadruple bypass at a very young age of 40. The doctors said that I died twice on the table.
Oh, wow.
So that kind of changed my perspective to a few things. Then 2 years ago, when I had the second heart attack, which damaged the first heart attack kind of thing, it kind of gave me a totally different perspective again.
Wow.
And more to the fact that there was this one, I'll never forget, this one particular little nurse. She said, "That's it, son, we can't do anything else." And that thought, that rings in my head every day, it's like, and I'm like, so I made peace with myself. That's all I could do. So I'm like, come on, and I challenge you now, my friend, I'm ready. There's nothing we can do it. So just take it on the chin how it comes.
Yeah, beautiful. Well, that's literally the goal. That's my goal, is to find peace. So
and that is it. It's I tell everybody that I'm happy, and especially my son Flynn. I don't know how he puts up this because I was like, right, mate, we've got our will here right here. So I said, you need to come round tomorrow, and we're going to put another page in this will, And he's like, but he's like, yeah, Dad, we need to do this now. He's cottoning on, He's like, good lad, that's it.
Yeah.
Can he talk to me saying, look, it's not a bad thing whenever somebody passes. You will hurt, you will be tearful for a few days, weeks, but enjoy the good times.
Yeah.
Memory. So
And people are always with you as well. Like I've lost a really strangely large number of people since 2020. So when I moved here, I've lost 18 people since I moved here. Which is a bit crazy. And it was my friend's funeral on Friday, so it's like at the moment. And they are with me all the time. Like I've lost three best friends since I lived here, and I see them all the time. They're in the birds. They're everywhere.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
They turn up and make me laugh all the time because it's really funny when they've turned up, and it's
Yeah,
like they're playing with me. And
yeah,
it
yeah.
could just be my memory, my thoughts, my own head doing it. But they're so fun that I allow it to be as real as if they were alive,
Yeah, no. I stood. Winter days are the best for me. You can be doing something, and then you can see the trees moving. Then the next thing you can see, oh, there you go, and you can see. Well, I've seen the gods there before. I
Yeah.
watched that much of the Vikings programs. I've seen Floki once, all right, but don't tell
Amazing.
anybody that, okay? But that's what it is. So it gets into your imagination,
Yeah.
and then you start seeing what is real. But
Yeah.
is it? Dogs can tell that there is a spirit there, can't they?
Absolutely.
So we don't know. We don't
And
know.
there's more room for that in Sark, I think, because you're not surrounded by concrete and tarmac. It's easier for you
Yeah, yeah.
to, have that moment in the beautiful sunshine in a sunset, or I mean, the amount of times I've cried at sunsets and just felt like someone's with me.
We used to when we first got here, go down to the lighthouse. A bit naughty that one, but you'd go to the mermaid, you hear fun in the mermaid at night, then you go and sit on top of the lighthouse roof, and that is it. You wake up there and you didn't even fall asleep actually, and you just watch the sun going and everything, and it is beautiful. You can't beat it. There's nothing that can replace that. That is a memory.
Absolutely. Yeah, we're so lucky we get to watch the sunset and then the moon rise, like
Oh yeah.
basically walking a few meters. It's incredible.
Yeah, well, yeah, this is it, right? It's yeah. Well, I think maybe me and you should get together after this.
Yeah, I'm up for a
All
sunset
right.
with you. That's a date.
Yeah, yeah. Let's see what happens at the next Beltane.
Okay, and the last rune is the sun. We were just talking about it, the sunset. So
Well,
this is like full brightness and illumination. So I guess it's a bit like what we're talking about of what is it that gives you full hope and makes you feel like it's all worth it.
the most happy is seeing results. It's no seeing results. That's the wrong words. Is getting the knowing that either you've just saved somebody's life,
Hmm.
or you've done something that has given that person a better chance in life. It
Yeah.
doesn't have to always be medically. It's like we Dom and I, Dom's my friend,
Hmm.
and we kind of got together many years ago and said, "I fancy doing a bonfire night," because there hadn't been bonfire nights
Hmm.
in Sark for a while after John's accident. And we kind of started this, and we thought, "Whoa, this is really good." A lot of people came for it. Then we thought, well, we could raise some money for different various charities for around the island.
Hmm.
And we have through the years. One year we got some, what is it, bulletproof vests. Now, this was a random one for the Ukrainian peoples that were going in and out of towns to bring the people over.
Oh, wow.
We
Okay.
had heard that they needed help,
Right.
but we had this money sat there, and we thought, right, okay, well, this is the cause that we're going to do this year with the money.
Yeah.
After that, when we bought an electric wheelchair, which allows some of the older islanders to get out with their carer, and so they're not stuck at home. And these little things are like gives you so much happiness knowing, yeah, look at that. There we go. There's another one. Well done.
Yeah.
Done it. Knowing that you can make other people happy. That's my drive.
Yeah. And that's a beautiful
I'd give my right ear to before I'd take one for myself. Yeah, definitely.
Wow, Jimbo, you're lovely.
Yeah,
You really are. You really are.
it is. I'm not self-gain anymore. It's like if I can make people happy, even my dog. I love dancing with my dog. Absolutely. We turn the music on and that's it. That's how we pass time,
Yeah, brilliant.
Yeah, but I'm not an old sado either. Actually, I do have a very active life. We go fishing, camping with the boys, and doing different things. And at the moment, my new job is becoming a DJ.
That's why, and that's what this is all building towards as well.
Yeah.
Radio station going. I want to listen to your radio. I could listen to you all day long.
We could have fun.
Yeah.
I was telling Bernard, one of your clients today. Bernard's had a stroke, so I go doing 3 days a week to just keep him a bit of companionship. You keep him going here, laughing, I joke with him, and I say, "It's fun. Whenever we get doing our radio station, I'm going to interview you." And he's like, "Hell, you are." I said, "I'm telling you, I'm going to come in and we'll just talk normal." So I've got it lined up, my ideas, you know.
Yeah. Oh, it'll be brilliant. I think it's going to work, and I think it's going to be awesome. And I can't wait to hear it.
Well, people say, "Jim, you talk enough dribble in the day, so yeah, you're the man for the job."
Yeah.
And
You might as well do it as a job.
yeah, you know, we just have to pass X amount of hours. It doesn't matter what we talk about.
Yeah, exactly. It would be awesome. The last thing that we do is we ask for a chaos crusade, and that is something that you would recommend for people to do to just break the like habits of everyday life and to just make you sort of appreciate where you are and what you're doing for a second. Do you know what I mean? Like, wake up from the dream for a moment.
Take the danger, take the road, and show people. Yeah, you know, I think I can answer that one. A lot of I'm not being an old stigma mud the duck here, right? But the lorry kids out there that didn't really understand like the drugs and alcohol. I think would be the one. But we all take alcohol and not realizing how much danger we're actually giving to ourselves, and some of the drugs that people tamper with, especially all these synthetics. It's to give somebody a shock culture is to take them round to either an old people's home with people where there are cases that's what you could end up being, or this is why you've ended up with these difficulties, because it's they are diseases, you know, they are diseases, and I think that the shock culture and somebody to take them round and say, well, look, this is your options here, you know. I don't know if that's where we're going with that one or not.
Yeah. No, that's good. I mean, it's good. It's because I think we especially on Sark, alcohol's been one of the things that I was quite well. I messaged all, I don't know if you know that I know Cara from doing a Tudor reenactment. We dress as Tudors and live as Tudors, and the public pay to come and see what living history is like. So that's how I know Cara. And the reason I moved here is that Cara was here having met Ash, being a carriage driver and
right,
working for Michelle. And as soon as she got here, she rang me up and said, "It's just like that place where we work. It's just like the Tudor place. And
yeah,
come over and visit." So I came over. And this Tudor place, you'd love it. You would absolutely, it's so up
yeah,
the street. Like, we're all in costume and we're sitting around campfires and singing songs and pretending to be Tudors with guns and swords and all this sort of stuff.
yeah.
Very cool. But we drink very heavily and it's really good fun. But we're only there for like 4 weeks in a year, drinking as heavily as we do. And I moved here and I got in touch with all my friends there on WhatsApp. I was like, everyone here drinks like we do, but all the time and forever. You're gonna die.
Yeah. So
And
you know,
it's a level of drinking here that's way above what we do in the UK.
normal, and it does worry me. You know, I've been clear 7 years today actually that
Congratulations.
I've been like clean from drinking alcohol, but it wasn't that I was a raging needed a beer every time. I just enjoyed the weekend, you know.
Yeah.
But it was like enjoyed the weekend, which went into Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. So yeah, life was a party.
Yeah.
You know, but I probably made a fool of myself more than a lot of people in the sun. However, I kind of seen the error in my ways, and and I hate watching the youngsters kind of going down the roady things that I've done myself.
Yeah.
And realizing it's not all about going out and getting smashed all the time or getting as drunk as you can. I know there is a level on I feel in Sark that people, okay, you can go, you can enjoy yourself, but it kind of, as you said earlier, it kind of let's go and get annihilated. And that is that what worries us, you know.
Yeah, definitely.
Um,
And I think it has I think it's got better. I think it has got a bit better in the time that I've lived here. I feel like it's a bit less intense. I don't know. The people do shots a bit less than they did when I first moved here.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
think the
I
messaging
see
is better for it.
I see a European side actually, can you culture coming into Sark. You know, I don't go to the pubs or that, but you know, I enjoy going for restaurant eating. And
Mm,
yes, there is the different kind of where the Europeans are a bit more relaxed about their alcohol. They're no out to get as drunk and wobbly as they can, you know, where
yeah.
and I'm
Mm,
seeing that some of the youngsters actually are taking that step back and calming down a little bit.
yeah.
But it is still a worrying thought for the rest of them.
Yeah. No,
Yeah,
I agree. I
you
fully
know,
agree with that.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's as for the drug side of life, well, I just hope that they can keep us clear of that path as long as they can. I
Yeah.
lost a lot of good friends through drugs. I lost my brother through drugs, and
Mm,
there's a lot of things that you know. I just feel that if people had the support, it could be a different story for a lot of them, but it will ruin their lives. You know, sorry to be in a really down one and that, but
yeah, that's all right.
it's that kind of thing where the chaos has to come to a halt,
Yeah.
and you realise that no, we need to stop this. Or if you've got a friend, for instance, that you know has gone right down it, and you can see the brick wall in front of him,
Yeah.
you need to really pull yourself out and do everything you can to save them, eh?
Yeah.
And that's what you must do. Yeah.
Yeah, I
So
totally agree with that. And I mean, personally, I think alcohol's the worst out of all of them. The ones that
yeah,
I have lost people to alcohol, and the closest we've ever got to losing other people has been through alcohol. For me personally, I have lost someone from drugs as well, but
yeah, yeah.
I'm always into getting more from less. That's part of my ethos of
Yeah, yeah, more from less. Yeah, but I like that.
yeah.
But I don't know if it's me that's getting old, but I'm becoming a less people person. I don't know why that's going on,
Yeah.
but I'm enjoying it.
Yeah, no, well, that's the thing. I think it's a
It's-
balance, isn't it? And I think if you've got peace with yourself, then you're
yeah,
happy to spend time on your own and enjoy that.
it's more big crowds. I used to be in big crowds all the time. You know, I'd be there's the lads at the bar. Well, hey, there you go,
Yeah,
and for that, and that'd be every night and whatever. Where now it's like, ah, do you know what? Yeah, I'm just going to read a book right now because I can, or I'm
yeah.
just going to 12 o'clock in it. I'm just going to turn my music on, which I do.
You dance with
But
your dog.
how the neighbours haven't kicked off yet, I don't know. But you know, but
Yeah,
yeah, because you can do these things, eh?
no,
Yeah,
totally.
yeah.
Thank you so much, Jimbo. That was wonderful. I
That's
was
okay.
chatting with you. That was so good. You're a beautiful human being. Thank you.
So, well, thank you. It's yeah. So we edit this later and take out all the really bad parts.
No, it's all staying in.
We might have to do this again then, eh?
The bad parts will always be the bits that everyone enjoys the most. So yeah.
Well, this is it. This is it. Yeah. Anyway, Julie, listen. Thank you very much. I've got
Thank
to
you,
actually
darling.
get ready for work now because I got to
Yeah.
go and sort our Mr. Man across the road.
What a beautiful person he is. I can't believe how much I love that guy. He's gorgeous. I left it recording then. I left that into the edit at the end there because that's him going off to work to go and look after someone. He was heading off to go and take care of someone. And yeah, I just really enjoyed that conversation. And the more we talked, the more I was like, wow, you are such a beautiful person. And we're wall to wall beautiful people over here. There are so many people that are giving and looking after and taking care of people. And it's just, yeah, I love people's universes and I want to keep exploring and looking into different people's realities and the way they see the world, because there's something medicinal in everyone and an insight and you're like, oh God, I never thought of things that way, or I haven't looked at things that way before. And also just people are so lovely. People are lovely. And I just think that's a really important narrative in a world that keeps saying that people aren't. And it's so easy for us to buy into the paranoia and the division, which is completely calculated. Divide and conquer is as old as time. It is a well-known tactic. You divide people and you can then conquer them easier. And that is what the media does. The media is telling us that our enemies are immigrants, or our enemies are people with brown skin, or our enemies are the annoying poor family down the road, or our enemies is just our neighbour, or our enemies is our partner. Like, literally, you are just being separated and separated and separated, and that is because it is easier to control you and fill you with fear and make you stay home and paralyzed. And when you start to actually connect with people and you spend time in community, that's when you go, oh my god, everyone's in the same boat as me. We're all the same. We all have fears and love and passion, and we're all caring and kind, and we're going to look after each other. And if we start looking after each other, we start looking out for each other. And if we start looking out for each other, we're harder to conquer. And that is why divide and conquer is a very useful tactic. And so that is also why community is the answer. It is key. And the more we get to know each other and work together and learn to embrace and say yes and fill our world with love and connection and community, rather than fear and separation and individualism and self-absorption. It's just, come on guys, it's all about each other. It's all about each other. That's how we're going to get through this future and make the world a better place, and not head into the abyss that we're being described as being in front of us. We don't have to live into that reality. We need to create our own. And my way of doing that, my belief in my creation of my reality that I want to live into, is a beautiful community where we look after each other and take care of each other and deal with all the shadow and crunch and difficulties and clashes and conflict. Conflict's not a bad thing. Nothing happens without drama. Like, if you watched EastEnders and there was no conflict, you wouldn't watch it, would you? You need conflict for things to happen. You need conflict for things to move on. But it doesn't mean you have to hate each other over it. And it doesn't mean you have to try and avoid it. You just have to embrace it and be like, yeah, that's the fuel. That's the combustion engine that makes change, that makes things happen. Don't be afraid of change. And yeah, don't be afraid to open your heart up and love thy neighbour. Well, I love my Jimmy. I've got to say that. He's a beautiful person. And I really, really hope that we're able to get a radio show off the ground, because I could listen to Jimmy all day. So going to help him do that and support him on that journey, and watch this space. I'll let you know if we have a radio station. I will advertise it to you guys. So hopefully you'll be hearing a lot more from Jimmy. But thank you ever so much for being here. Huge love to all of you, and I shall see thee anon.